In fact, my mom started a low-carb diet when she was in her 80s, and she actually had more energy and a better mood on that diet, and she just felt so much better on it. She had more energy and better mood than when she was in her 50s. Over the past several years, there's been a lot of excitement in Dr. Davis's group about the SIBO yogurt and just the amazing effects that people have had from it. And I think it's kind of taken over the program to the point that I'm seeing a lot of people who are unaware of another important rule of the program, and that is the net carbohydrate rule. This one was around a long time before the yogurt, and for a lot of us, it solved 80 or 90% of the problems we came there with. I originally came to Dr. Davis's program with GI problems. I had severe acid reflux, and eliminating wheat and cutting the carbs way back completely cured my acid reflux and solved about 80 or 90% of my problems as well. So that is a rule on the program, and I can show you where that is. Okay, if you come to the home page and click on Core Program Start Here, click on Cheat Sheets. 3 steps to begin your 10-day detox. Manage carbohydrates. No more than 15 grams net carbs per meal. Net grams equals total carbs minus fiber. And just to be clear, this is not just the 10-day detox. This is permanent. This is the new normal. It also doesn't matter what kind of carbs it is. He specifies fruits and legumes. It doesn't matter if the carbs were picked on a pristine mountaintop by fairies and fertilized by unicorn farts. They metabolize into glucose and they count. So let's move on to Supergut. The rule is in Supergut. And the rule is also in Undoctored. I'll bring that up. Yeah, we maintain a net carb exposure of no more than 15 grams per meal. We'll also take a look at Wheat Belly Total Health. And this one was from 2014. Yeah, limit yourself to no more than 15 grams of net carbohydrate per meal within a 4 to 6 hour period. So people get a little bit confused about that sometimes, but I think the spirit of it is not to save up all of your carbohydrates for the day and have a big blowout dessert, for example, because what that big, 50 carb dessert can do is really spike your blood sugar. And that's the original reason that Dr. Davis was having people limit their carbs and before that actually test their blood sugar. Dr. Davis is a cardiologist, and high blood sugar is terrible for your heart and the rest of you for that matter. But I'll show you a blog post by another blogger where he quotes a Dr. Davis blog post from 2010 and went on to test some of his own blood sugars after various meals. If you've never read Tom Naughton's blog, do check it out. He's a great writer, very funny, and his blog was all about low-carb living. But sometime between this blog post and 2014, when Wheat Belly Total Health came out, Dr. Davis must have come up with his 15 gram per meal rule. I guess people got tired of sticking their fingers. But even if you're here for GI problems rather than heart problems, that net carb rule is still really important. I came here with severe acid reflux, and it was the wheat elimination and whacking the carbs way back that got rid of my acid reflux. And I can show you this in Dr. Atkins' book, his low-carb diet from the 70s. He observed that acid reflux, or heartburn as they called it, very reliably went away on a low-carb diet. And of course, there's just so many other problems with a high-carb diet, but for at least some people. High triglycerides, if you're subject to blood sugar swings, that can affect your energy level. your mood, your appetite. Dr. Davis goes on about glycation, lipoproteins, and all of that is carbohydrate driven. So very important to observe the net carb rule. In fact, my mom started a low carb diet when she was in her 80s, and she actually had more energy and a better mood on that diet, and she just felt so much better on it. She had more energy and better mood than when she was in her 50s. If you're struggling with SIBO or SIFO, low carb is also important because those carbohydrates feed bacteria and they feed fungus, and you don't want to feed the bad actors. You want to cut those carbohydrates and use the SIBO yogurt and possibly Candibactin to help get rid of that. Now, to be clear, a low-carb diet is not a no-carb diet. It's not keto, and it's definitely not carnivore. Once any SIBO or SIFO is cleared up, you do need to feed your gut bacteria with fibers and things like mushrooms, onions, jicama, inulin, and so on. You also have to take certain supplements like magnesium and salt. That's true on any kind of a low-carb diet because your body gets rid of those much faster on that diet. And the program has cheat sheets on which supplements to take. If you come to the landing page and click on Core Program, click on Cheat Sheets, and go down to Program Supplements, it'll have a list of what you should take and in what amount. So just an important word of caution on this. If you take any blood pressure medication or diabetes medication, you need to be very careful because any low-carb diet will drop those numbers like a rock. So let's go to the program AI for some advice. Okay, here we are at the landing page, so let's click on AI. And to ask a question, you have to click on this little green bubble down at the bottom right. So let's ask it how to handle diabetes medications on program. Let's see what it says. So yeah, you do need to address diabetes medications to avoid hypoglycemia, especially if you're taking insulin. Ideally, work with a healthcare provider experienced in helping eliminate diabetes medications as you become less diabetic. Consider finding somebody who's familiar with the approach if your doctor isn't. I think back in the day, a lot of people just muddled through by themselves with a blood glucose meter. But as he says, it's better to have that a little bit high than to risk a hypo, I mean, if you're driving or operating machinery, that could be especially dangerous. Same thing goes for blood pressure medication. So just a word of warning, but a lot of people have in the past gotten off of their blood pressure and diabetes medications. Okay, so with that out of the way, so let's say you are wanting to make some low-carb food. The recipe has, or the site has lots of great recipes. So up here, it has the recipe section, and we click on Recipe Library. And I'll show you how to use the search feature in this. And by the way, if you're looking for yogurt recipes, they're right here under microbiome and probiotics. But let's do a search in the recipe library. And it's kind of neat because you can search by recipe title, contains this ingredient. I love the recipe for meatballs, so I'll put that in and scroll down and search. Okay, and there it is. And if you come over here and click on Nutrition Info, it has the carbohydrate count right there for you. So that's about it on low carb on Dr. Davis's program.